And now for your listening pleasure, straight out of Milwaukee, the least talked about podcast in Wisconsin, Hypocritical, with your guides, Alexa MKE and MoKE, the Shock the MoKE. We're here to praise and vent on all things that in the end just don't matter. How you doing, Alexa, after kayaking over the weekend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, but we're going to talk about things that do matter.
Oh, that's right.
We are going to talk about Black Lives Matter, and I think it's really important for because I know we've had this discussion, because we're both white, and white privilege. Should we talk about this? And I think if we keep silent on this, it doesn't lend any credence to the fact that Black Lives Matter. So I want to, start out by acknowledging there's harm out there to Black people every day. And the things that happened to George Floyd, people here like Dontre Hamilton, or Dontrell Hamilton. See, now I don't even have his name right because I've been reading so many articles on this. It's just crazy. And when you start seeing some of the video and some of the photos that are coming out of the protests, you can see that this is a much larger, deeper, complex issue. So I want to kind of acknowledge it. We're just going to do a quick little show on it and move on from there. So I know that, we wanted to talk a little bit about protest versus looting. What have you been seeing? What's kind of your take on that?
Again, protesters are protesters, looters are looters. That's a different thing. So I mean, I can talk about all the things that happened. Actually, the conspiracy theories that I actually ran down was that the KKK stirred up Antifa so that it would look like Antifa was in there doing it, but really the KKK was in there looting, had actually targeted, and the mob did. They actually had targeted stores. There were guys bringing bricks of pallets up in cars, Molotov cocktails. They were there to incite the riot, so in the confusion, they could go loot. They were targeted stores. They kind of even knew that. But again, like I said, back all the way back, the KKK is rattling Antifa in order to make the looting. But the protesters, to me, the only thing I wish they would have done is, if you're going to be law-abiding, be done at 8 like they're supposed to, and quit trying to go on the highway. Otherwise, I'm fine with it.
Okay, so to that point, they're protesting. Protesting is supposed to disrupt. It's civil disobedience, and they need to be peaceful, which they have been. But you know what? The honking at, midnight or, blocking highways, that's to disrupt. That's to get our attention. Well, now we have our attention. Let's do something about it. I mean, we have a lot of things that, are going on that are not good. Like you brought up the fact that the KKK, well, let's just call them white supremacists. And I know that from the Madison police band, one of the first weeks that they were protesting, they brought in the Proud Boys. Now, I don't know why they were there, and I never heard, what came of that, but the Proud Boys are a white supremacist organization, and so we need to understand that they were up to some no good. What no good they were up to, I didn't read anything further, but, it is worth mentioning that there are bad actors out there who are trying to derail the protests and, calling it Antifa. Antifa means anti-fascist. Well, that's not a terrorist organization. I'm anti-fascist. I don't want fascism in the United States. So I guess I'm Antifa. So I'm a terrorist.
But Antifa is our version of the Tea Party on the other side. It's our fringe that unfortunately tags along with the Democrats. That's the problem. They think they're Democrats.
Well, the thing is the Republican Party has moved so far right that now the Democrats have moved to the middle. So I guess now the Antifa is the old Democrats, it's the left. So if you want to say that, I'm left. I'm Antifa. It is what it is. And, I think until things are described, it's like I'm more to the left than I am moderate. There are some things I'm very conservative on, but very few. I mean, it's more financial than it is, economic than it is, social. I'm very socially left. So
But I agree with you. Like when we talk about the names that are out there, the reason that it's hard to remember the names is because to us there's so many. There are
yeah.
so many now that once they start listing this one, the one that the two people, the guys tracked down and shot that walked into the building. The woman that got shot in the raid that went wrong. They
It
just
wasn't even a
the,
raid. It wasn't even her. They were in the wrong house. I mean, how
around
do you
us
screw that up?
exactly. I mean, it is for us. We know there's a lot going on. But here's the thing. I mean, how I understand the protesting, please, and I'm going to be a white guy again, middle-aged white guy again. But it's like what's the end game now is all I'm at. Unfortunately, there's not nobody has a list of demands that they can hold in their hand that they can hand somebody that says, okay, what do you want? What can
Actually,
what
there
can I
have
do?
been lists of
What,
demands. The
what can I
demands
do
are
right now to stop protest, to stop walking up and down 15 days in a row? I mean, are we doing this for 30 days? Are we doing this for 60 days? Like I say, there's nothing that what do you want to stop marching? Or isn't there anything right now?
you know what? They need to reform the police. They need to take money away from the police because we don't need a militarized police force. And these are things that they have listed. They want to acknowledge the wrong. They want to start changing the system. And they're trying to get people to vote and go out there and change it one way, but then there's going to be another way. And until there's some response, it's going to take as long as it takes. We have a history of civil disobedience in Milwaukee. Back in the 60s, I remember the choppers going overhead. I was 5 years old. I remember choppers going overhead. I remember the gunshots. And the thing is that, we need the peaceful protests to continue for as long as they can. They are going to be disruptive. I mean, it hasn't been that disruptive to me because I'm not going anywhere because of COVID-19. So, but I feel that, we need to have a lot of dialogue going forward because until we have conversation and dialogue, nothing is going to move forward. Nothing's going to happen. You know, One of the things that I wanted to show was some of these photos. So I'm going to let you talk, Dave, and I'm going to show some photos. Where's my scene 3? So
I guess the big thing, again, when this all began, when it all started, Black Lives Matter, I was one of those guys that just, what are we talking about? All lives matter. Why am I wrong for saying that? And it was, the light was shine on me, about how, listen, someone's got a shirt that says breast cancer sucks. Well, it says no, all cancer sucks. Well, yeah, I know all cancer sucks. That's true. But right now we're concentrating on breast cancer, and that's the same kind of idea. Right now we're concentrating on Black lives. When I got my redneck hometown of Red Granite, which is maybe more red than Berlin where I'm from, but they've got a sign that actually goes and says white lives matter outside of their establishment, their bar. I'm like, well, what really now? What are you doing here? What are you doing with that? I have no idea. So I mean, at least again, I know that's wrong. Now again, I want to apologize to the community that my white privilege is walked all over because again. I may be late to this, but I have a lot to learn, and as long as I'm moving forward and I'm learning, and I can see the light from time to time, I'm hoping that's enough right now for me.
and that's important that you acknowledge that there are people who are hurting out there, and that it was that whole all lives matter. All lives do matter, but the problem is all lives aren't being harmed like Black lives are, and that's why Black lives matter. Because I was speaking to somebody at work today. She was watching on her Facebook stream this weekend because some of her family was down in the protests in Chicago. And I talked to her about if I got pulled over in New Berlin, which I have, and I'm a white woman and not unattractive. I got pulled over for going 11 miles over. I got a warning, not a ticket. If somebody gets pulled over the same place I got pulled over in New Berlin, and this has been going on for decades, there's 3 squad cars there. 2 or 3, usually 3, and they're always a person of color. Why do we need 3 squad cars for a person of color, but only 1 squad car for the middle-aged white lady? That is a problem, and we need to do something about it. I mean, that is a policy that needs to change.
Right.
So.
That's the big buzzword now that it keeps running in my head is microaggression. Okay. Every time you put 3 cars around a black person, a person of color, then it's all of a sudden everybody around it. That's bad. That's a bad. That it reinforces the thinking on that. If there's just one, we're not making a big deal of it. Then you're right. That microaggression that goes away a little bit. So. Even I have to keep looking at those little things from time to time about everything, Well,
and what I said to her is, that's the least of it. I mean, that's the least of what people who are of color have to live with every day. They're also living in fear of their jobs if they say the wrong thing or if they act the wrong way or if they call in sick. I mean, now you're thinking, oh, well, there's stereotypes that some employers are using to be able to fire people, which is bullshit, because we all have reasons why we don't come into work. And going from there, it just escalates. And the way the police are treating even the protesters, it's like pepper spray and rubber bullets. I mean, come on.
Well, just to go get a photo op. I like how they tried to twist that too. So we didn't use tear gas. No, you used pepper bullets, which is considered tear gas. They's like, well, we didn't really use tear gas. No, you did. You used tear gas.
Well, and what I'm calling it is the Milwaukee Molotov, which was the empty bottle of water that they threw at the police because the police were, being aggressive with people and pushing them around, and so they threw some empty water bottles. Oh, it was a Molotov cocktail, so now we gotta, No, you don't. And I've seen some of these pictures, and I didn't put them up purposefully.
Hey, there was a police officer's car on fire. There was. They did throw something on top. That guy.
That wasn't in Milwaukee. I'm talking about the Milwaukee incident. No, but I'm talking about the fact that if you look at some of these pictures from rubber bullets, first of all, they're not using them properly. They're improperly firing them, and so people are losing eyes. More people have lost eyes in these protests probably than normally would through average accidents. And it's ridiculous.
Poke your eye out, kid. Don't go to a protest.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I mean, it's something to, really be thinking about. So, what can we all do? I mean, what can we do? We can have a conversation. I think that's really important.
Well, I think the president has finally made the first step by not scheduling his rally on Juneteenth Day. I think that was very big of him.
No. I'm going to go one step further.
His friends.
That was mighty white of him not to do that.
My gosh. I'm just like, are you kidding? So.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see that he did bow to pressure finally with that. The NASCAR flags thing. One man breaks it, the other man quits because of it. And. But I'm sorry. I'm kind of like, I understand the Civil War thing because I fought for a little bit for the Indian thing in my high school. I'm the Berlin Indians. It's the same kind of thing. I felt as though that's my heritage. I understand it's Indian heritage, but it's my heritage too. My alma mater, my school. But you know what? No. In the end, no. It doesn't matter. You're holding on to that ideas with that flag. He said something. Well, I have lots of friends that have those flags and they're not racist. You know what? No, they are. They are. Unless he's a collector of flags, he is racist. I'm sorry. You don't want to admit it. He doesn't want to admit it. Most racists won't admit it. But no. If you prize that flag enough that you have to not go to your rate if you don't want to see him trading paint and making left turns just because they won't let you bring your flag. Well, you are a racist then. Yes.
Exactly. If you think that you need a Confederate flag, you might be a racist.
You might be a racist.
That's right. So, the other thing we can do is support person of color businesses. There's a lot of businesses here in Milwaukee. Look them up. I know there's a lot of Facebook groups that are talking about them. The Milwaukee subreddit has been talking about, and Shepherd's Express has a list of black businesses we can support and donate to causes. There's a bail fund. There's Black Lives Matter, and all you have to do is research it. There's some articles out there. They're great. And talk. We need to talk about this. I mean, that's, the more we talk, the more we will understand each other. And there are some people who will never get it, but it is what it is.
Like the woman who just recently was hitting the car with a hammer, telling the woman go back to Mexico, and the other one that the lady was, the Asian woman was stretching on the sidewalk, and a woman came up and told her to go back where she came from, and these people still think they're right to walk around and do that, and
if you would have heard what my neighbors were saying across the street with my windows open just half an hour ago, it would have infuriated people I know. Just infuriated, and they would have been rightly infuriated. How do we change this? Another thing is to vote. Go out and vote. We've got to vote the idiots out of office. And look at their records, and look at their speeches, and look at what they are saying and what they actually vote for. You have to compare what's coming out of their mouth with their actions. I think that's really important.
About the little zone in Seattle, though, what's your take on that?
I've actually been on the Seattle subreddit, and apparently the zone is very peaceful. That all the things that Fox News are saying, that it's like, just disorganized and stuff, it's not.
They actually got their hands slapped for Fox put in wrong pictures when you're talking about Seattle. They put in pictures of something burning, and it had nothing to do with it.
Well, what they did is they put in pictures of armed protesters in front of like businesses, but the problem is they were Getty images that they cropped out and photoshopped in. So it's, come on, let's talk about propaganda.
I saw a gentleman there. They were talking to him at the zone, and he was talking about what was going on, and then the woman says, "Well, I noticed you do have a firearm on you," and he goes, "Hey, I'm peaceful, not harmless." And I thought that was a great.
Oh my God, that's yeah.
Peaceful, not harmless. You're right. And so I thought that was great. And I'm like, well, I always said that, yeah, he's got to have something. There's guys barreling cars into protesters. You've got to be ready. I'm sorry, you've got to. Well, what was it? Didn't they raid that one guy's house because he was on the steps, and I think he was correct. He was doing it. Well, I don't think he was lying about it that I've heard. But he was a military guy, and he had his AK-47 on the steps when there was protesting. And he said, well, I'm here to protect the protesters. I'm here to protect you, the protesters. And they ATF ended up raiding his home. And I don't know. They got
I didn't
guns
hear that
and everything. Well, they could be legal guns, but they ended up raiding his home. But he said, I'm here to protect you guys. So I hope that was true, and I hope he doesn't get any bad things from the law as a result.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can wrap it up again. Do what you can. Talk about this. If you want to go out and protest, definitely do it. Support businesses. Donate. Talk about it. Vote. I mean,
dominate the streets with compassion.
That's a good point. All right. So I'd like to say we're going to thank our viewers and listeners, Dave's mom, my neighbor Pat, and anyone else who stumbled across us randomly. If you like what you're hearing, tell two people so they can tell two people so that we can become internet famous. Dave, are you going to put up some of those photos on the Facebook page?
Sure. Hey, like us on Facebook. It's look for us, Hypocritical.
Yes.
No, it's MoKE Milwaukee. That's maybe why I got to put that in. MoKE Milwaukee is our Facebook page.
Okay. Yeah. So there, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's down here. hip.or.critical. And you can tweet me at Alexa MKE. It's on the screen. That's my Twitter handle, and that's pretty much it. We're going to call this a day, and then we're going to do a regular show. So we feel this is important. We felt we needed to address it, and now we've done so. So thank you, everybody. Peace out.
Peace out.
Thank you. Bye.